July 2nd, 2015. A 9-year-old boy, let's call him Matthew, turns up at Cubs for the first ever time. Little does he know, his life is about to change. July 12th, a week later. Matthew's leaders have organised a fire building challenge for the night, with toasted marshmallows. And Matthew experiences his first ever open fire. He's really proud of himself and he loved eating his marshmallow that he toasted himself. At flag down, he's asked to tuck his shirt in and stand straight. Matthew learns pride. A month later, the Cub pack goes on a day hike. Matthew packs his own bag and Dad comes along too. Halfway through the hike, he realises his friend Josh has forgotten his jumper and the wind is starting to pick up. Matthew lends Josh his jumper and learns the power of generosity and being prepared. A week later, Matthew's father realises how much fun his son is having and volunteers as a leader. They have an awesome experience together at the local fire station and come home talking about their shared experience and how to make their home safer. Matthew learns the significance of family. A year later, Matthew moves up to Scouts. He goes from being an important sixer to being the youngest Scout and is bossed around by his 14-year-old patrol leader. Matthew learns humility. 6 months later, Matthew heads away to Jamboree. After 4 days of full-on activities, Matthew's exhausted. He's been meeting thousands of people over badge trading, doing activities every day, cooking, cleaning, covered in mud. But he's getting homesick and he's super tired. His tent mates keep him up all night talking, and all he wants to do is have a sleep in, have a day to catch up with news from home, and to chill out. But he can't, because he's got another full day of activities programmed. So he has no choice but to push through the tiredness. He does all the activities with a smile and even remembers to thank his leaders at the end of the day. Matthew learns resilience and character. A year later, Matthew's leader sits his troop down in a circle after a rowdy night with little achieved. And he tells them that, as a leader, he doesn't have to be there every week. He chooses to turn up. And tonight, if he'd known they were going to be like that, he probably would have chosen to stay at home. One of the Scouts pipes up and said, "Yeah, but then he wouldn't have got paid." Matthew's leader looks surprised and says, "Oh, I'm actually a volunteer. I choose to come every week. I don't get paid." And the Scouts across the room kind of look surprised and then realise what's been happening and that their leaders have been giving up their time every week just for them. So Matthew learns about values and he learns about respect. A year later again, Matthew's promoted to patrol leader and heads into Sanford course. He's one of the oldest there and learns a few tools that will really help him back at his troop. But at the course they take turns at being the leader, and it's someone else's turn who's an assistant patrol leader in training, so they haven't had much experience in this before. And while Matthew would rather lead, he steps back and lets them take charge. He manages to stay quiet, but instead gives his full effort to the activity, supports the other team members, and doesn't tell them what to do. He gets absolutely drenched, trying to get as much water from this bucket into that bucket over there. Their patrol wins, so Matthew learns teamwork. 6 months later, back at his troop, Matthew's planning a camp for his patrol. And lots of them are new, so he's telling them what to pack, how to plan a menu, how to shop for their food, and discusses their campsite options that they have to decide for themselves. Matthew's learning leadership. 3 months later, like many others at 13 and a half, Matthew decides to leave Scouts. There are so many other demands now he's joined high school, including sports, debating, and homework pressure. Not to mention, none of his friends are really Scouts anymore. After many years post-Scouts, Matthew's a senior manager in a big corporate and he's leading a large team. On a standard Friday, in a standard team meeting, it's easy to observe why Matthew's so successful today. First of all, it's casual Friday, yet instead of wearing jeans and a zip-up hoodie like the rest of his colleagues, he's wearing a business shirt and pants. He demonstrates pride. He arrives early to his team meeting, tests out the technology he needs, and waits for his team to arrive. He demonstrates preparedness. The team meeting starts and Matthew is confident and open in tough decisions that affect the team, the project and the company. He's demonstrating leadership. He lets everyone have a say and ensures respect is given by all to all. He demonstrates values. The meeting ends and stress levels are high. The workload the team are carrying are very heavy. Matthew shouts the team morning tea for their efforts in a tough week. He demonstrates generosity. At morning tea, he talks to a couple of his key team members and asks what he can do to help reduce the load. He demonstrates teamwork. Matthew works until 8 that night, even though he's tired after an early start preparing for his meeting. He demonstrates resilience. His last email for the day thanks the receptionist for organising the morning tea at short notice. He demonstrates character. On Monday, he takes the day off. It's his son's 3rd birthday. He demonstrates the importance of family. At the end of the month, his manager praises him for a hugely successful project. He credits the team for its success. He demonstrates humility. So you've probably noticed that the qualities Matthew are displaying are the ones he learned in scouting after that fateful day when he turned up at Cubs for the first time. Now, I told you his life changed that day, and not in some earth-shattering, lightning-crashing type moment, but just an unseen and subtle change that changed the course of his future. So, who is Matthew? Matthew is every one of our scouts, past, present and future. He's probably even some of us. He's become successful in his field, over and above his peers, and he might not even recognise why. He didn't even become a Chief Scout or a Queen Scout. He isn't still friends with anyone from his scouting days. Yet, if he was asked if he had been a scout when he was younger, he'd probably say he did Cubs and Scouts for a couple of years, had good memories of it, would send his son there. And what we don't always realise as leaders is the benefit that scouting has, even on the members that aren't with us for very long. If they learn even one of the qualities Matthew learned, they'll be a better adult because of it. Look at how many of the qualities Matthew demonstrated in just one day as an adult. Scouting isn't just something we do, it's something that becomes part of us. We're giving thousands of kids every week a tool that sets them apart from their peers for their future, and they'll have a blast at the same time. Who cares if they don't become lifers or achieve all of our awards? For me, it's the fact that they experienced scouting at one point and probably benefited from it even just a little is just as important. And those thousands of people are everywhere. Mark Ingalls is one, John Key is another. They're the senior managers in some of New Zealand's biggest companies. They're experts, maybe not necessarily famous, but in their fields they're well known and highly influential. And many that we, as their leaders, will never ever hear about. But every troop night, every camp, every Sanford, every discussion with them gives them a little piece of scouting that they'll carry with them, even if they're only with us for a term. So never underestimate the impact that you are having on Matthew, or Josh, or Charlie, or Sophie, or Jess's future, every week. Now, I'm really lucky to have had the role of National Commissioner for 3 years, and I've seen and learned a lot about scouting and life in general during my term. And I started the role as a youth member, really, at age 24, and because Scouts is a learning organisation for youth, I thought I'd share with you some of the things that I've learnt personally and about scouting in my 3-year adventure. And I guess I started off by learning that I had nothing to lose. I felt acclaimed simply because of my age and gender. Everyone just was so excited to have a young female National Commissioner. So, job done, easy. But I really wanted to make some sort of positive difference, even without really knowing what that was. And after coffees with lots of leaders that I trusted and respected, many in this room today, I learned the importance of setting goals to have success. They told me they couldn't believe in me if I didn't know what I wanted to achieve myself. And one thing I knew I wanted to do was to try and break down some of the barriers between grassroots and national. I've been on the National Council for 5 years already. I knew the national staff and volunteers fairly well, and being the positive person that I am, and a grassroots leader myself, I hated seeing people bag national and the projects and the efforts and the things that they've been working so hard on, and being the people that I knew and that I trusted. So becoming national as National Commissioner was a challenge I knew I'd need to overcome if I still wanted to break down those barriers. I had to be grassroots to national, but be national to grassroots. And the biggest thing I learned, and I continue to observe, is that people don't know or appreciate who National are. One NEC member was at a zone camp recently in their capacity as scout leader, and another leader was complaining to them about how no one from National or NEC ever comes to these events. And they were saying, well, I'm here. And the leader said to them, oh, well, yes, but you're just here because you're a scout leader in the group, not because you're on NEC. And that's exactly my point. These people are scout leaders. They're at your zone meetings. They attend camps. They work with you. And most of them are actually grassroots leaders themselves, who then have to make extremely tough decisions around a board table about what's best for the movement that they're passionate about, that they grew up in. And after seeing NEC in action for 3 years now, you've got to believe me, they make some of the hardest decisions I could ever imagine making for Scouts, and I trust them. They debate everything, with broad-ranging views, discuss its impact, are a group of successful professionals in their own right, and always do what's right for Scouting. And I promise you, an NEC role is well over a 2-hour-a-week job. I've learned how to think critically. So what would you say when a scout hall in, say, Otrahonga is being sold and you have to decide where the money goes? Do you give it to the zone just because that's what's always been done, knowing that the zone up the road has no cash and a group that's struggling to open even though they've got youth members ready to join? Do you give the money to Christchurch to help them fund the thousands of dollars of earthquake damage that they've got to pay for? Or do they expect National to pay for that, knowing that National's been in deficit for the last however many years? Do you donate the money to National Reserves, knowing there'll be great opportunities to invest it in the future in things like inclusive growth? And how do you decide what's best when your rationale is different than the 8 other people around the board table, and you need to come up with a consensus? Being on the NEC has given me incredible insight and been a great and safe platform for developing some governance skills myself. The NEC volunteers work so hard and they're so passionate, it's really inspiring. The same goes for our national staff. Yes, they get paid, as we all do in our real jobs, but oh my goodness, this is not just their job. I've learnt that to work for Scouts, it simply has to become a passion too. They work the longest hours of most occupations I've ever seen. They do long days, they get thousands of emails from leaders from Cape Rania to the Bluff, they work weekends, they give up their summer holidays to attend events, they travel away from home. They work for us in their paid hours, yes, but they volunteer for us by doing well more than their 40 hours a week. And not only that, they know, and we know, that they'd get paid a lot more if they chose to work somewhere else. So they choose to be part of our movement. They choose to work for Scouts. They're part of us. Let's jump to the other end of the spectrum. As many of you know, I've been really lucky to have a job that travels me around New Zealand for the last 2 years. And I always attempt to visit Scouts wherever I go. And I always knew that Scouts was a global movement, but didn't ever quite realise what that meant for New Zealand. So I made a map of New Zealand and where all the Scout groups were. So you can imagine a map like this, 400 dots all throughout. We're everywhere. And every week I'd email the groups of the places I was going to be and just ask if I could turn up. So any night I'd turn up at halls in town, some miles from anywhere, some in places I've never even heard of, and I'd meet hundreds of youth and leaders all around the country. Some who had never met another leader or scout from another group, from their zone, from National, but that this leader had been turning up every year for 50 years because he knew that there was some scout that was going to turn up and get an awesome scout experience that night. These people are everywhere. Kawerau, Greymouth, Hokitika, Gore. And the halls are often really hard to find. It's dark outside, the kids are inside, and until you find the hall first of all, open the door and see what's going on, people have no idea what they're missing. So it's a shame that we make it so hard for the public to experience what we have to offer and to see what magic goes on inside our halls every night of the week. So every week I'd be travelling, new scouts, new halls, new programs I'd see. And I started posting photos on Facebook and shared stories with the groups I went to, to tell them about the other groups I'd visited. And I felt really lucky to get to see so many groups. But I felt really sad how many groups felt so isolated when they were part of something that was so big. I learnt the importance of sharing with scouts nationwide and online what scouts were up to in other areas of the country. The National Club leader Joss was blown away when she saw 3 scout groups in 1 week in all different parts of the country using the programs that she'd stayed up late writing. She saw them being enjoyed and being used. So I implore you, let's share the stuff with each other more. Whenever you travel for work or for leisure, make the time to visit even one group, even the group just down the road from you, because it will open your eyes just a wee bit as to how big scouting really is and how amazing it is to have people all over around the country that support your cause. Last year at this forum, we watched a video about a successful sports team in America, and I don't know if anyone remembers it, but there was one line that kept jumping out to me. Don't criticise your teammates. If you want to succeed as a team, you've got to have each other's back all the time, on the field, but behind closed doors as well. And I've learned that Scouts doesn't really live by this mentality. While we say we're a values-based organisation, I constantly hear people talking badly about other leaders, criticising their ideas, complaining about other groups, staff, national volunteers, national programs and more. And we all want Scouts to succeed. Yet it seems we do constantly criticise our teammates. And if we tear each other down, or criticise each other, we won't be a united front, and we won't be a strong team, and we won't be successful in the future. And Neve's given us a golden bullet here, and it's appeared and better prepared, and it's called One Team. Let's back each other. The leader we work with, but don't always get on with. The group leader down the road. The leaders planning jamboree. Think whatever you like, but work with them. Find productive ways to criticise their ideas. Support them. Back them. Let's be a team of 21,000 people nationwide. A team who work together to make Scouts an amazing movement. And better prepared is that opportunity. We want to grow, but we want to improve. And for some, that word improve means to change. They might not realise they're the group that runs a bad program, but they need a change to offer a quality and relevant program. We want to deliver the purpose of Scouts every time we meet. We want youth to be empowered, to learn, to have adventurous experiences that make a positive difference to their future. That's why we're here. So let's find ways to do that. Let's support each other to run the most amazing program every week that kids love. Let's reflect and maybe change some of the things that we do so that the Scout from Japan who moves to New Zealand would still feel comfortable being a Scout over here. That the Māori boy in South Auckland, say, who's about to join a gang, has an option to join a Scout group to give him one step ahead of his peers for his future. So that we have enough motivated, supported and equipped volunteers to run these programs for more and more youth members. And let's think cleverly about our assets, our halls, our campsites and our money. We can make Scouts New Zealand a strong national not-for-profit that we're all proud to be part of because we know it's strong enough to last. Better prepared is our future, and I certainly want to be a part of it. July 5th, 2015. I've learned an awful lot of things in the last 3 years, and a lot of them have been about myself. I was surprisingly shy and unconfident in my opinions, and it took me a while to feel confident speaking my opinion and being open to hearing others disagree. And thanks to the support of a few key people in the room today, I discovered my own voice progressively. And at my first regional forum, I was so nervous about replacing Stuart's motivational speech slot that I spoke for a while, but then I played a video, and that was about youth thanking their leaders, saving me from talking the whole time. And this year, I've got nothing. It's just me, and I've got nothing to hide behind. I know this experience has really well equipped me for my future, whatever that may end up being. But being your National Commissioner has been the greatest gift I've ever received. And Scouts has always been home to me, but having a safe environment to grow and develop and to learn as a young leader has been an incredible personal opportunity. And I feel like I've emerged from being a 24-year-old positive but nervous youth member to a 27-year-old confident and proud adult. I learned more about myself and challenged myself more than I ever thought possible, but I've been blown away by the support that I've received. So thank you to everyone here who's helped me on my journey. Thank you to Noel Walker and the National Council of 2012 for breaking the mould of what a National Commissioner should look like and appointing me. Thank you to Neve and her team for their daily dedication and hard work to the movement that we're all really passionate about. Thank you to the NEC. There's about 5 of you here. It's the biggest amount at one forum. Thank you for welcoming me and letting me learn how to be a board member for the first time. Thanks to my husband Craig for giving up nights and weekends of me being away or working at home to do the role that he nearly applied for himself. And thank you to everyone who delivers Scouting week in, week out, and gets neither the praise nor the profile that they deserve for the life-changing work they're doing with the next generation. Thanks to everyone who's helped me be the National Commissioner I've been and given me the most incredible memories I could have ever wished for. I leave the role happy, proud, positive, and more in love with Scouts New Zealand than ever before. Thank you all.